second option is to create a piece of art inspired by English artist Hamish Fulton. And he considers himself a walking artist. And he goes on these walks and he documents, he creates his artwork through photographs, illustrations, and word works, text on walls. And this is an example of Hamish using text, really kind of like poems, short poems, to add another layer of meaning to the photograph for the viewer. And when he does these pieces, he's using different types of lettering lines in order to make the text have different feelings, to add different levels. So there is a thin, small, black lettering font up at the top, small white lettering in the middle, and then it's a little bolder down at the bottom in white. And each of those kind of reads differently to us. So here's another piece that Hamish did, and again, you can see how the impact of the bold letters is different than the impact of the small, thin letters. So I'm going to challenge you to create a text and image with this next challenge. Find a photograph or a drawing in your camera roll, or go outside and take a picture, or do a drawing of a landscape that you love, and then think about a few words that can add another layer of meaning to the piece. So for one of my examples, I decided to do a drawing of Joshua Tree National Park because me and my family love it, or I really love it. So I started with a simple line drawing, added color to it using dark and light to convey a little bit of 3D space, and finished up the drawing in crayon, going from dark in the front to light in the back there. So I filled the whole page. I used crayon. You can use any kind of materials that you have available to you. So then I thought about incorporating a couple words to it. So I chose Otherworld because growing up on the East Coast, never experienced anything like Joshua Tree National Park before. So it's a very otherworldly place for me. And I decided I wanted to make the word other a little smaller, world a little bigger. You can see how world is a little bolder too. And finally, I added I'm at peace because when I go to Joshua Tree and I climb around and I'm out in the open air, it makes me feel really calm. And notice I changed to lowercase letters because I wanted the impact to be a little smaller. I wanted Otherworld to stand out.
All right, second and third grade. So you just had the chance to listen to my buddy, Mr. Massey, talk about Hamish Fulton and how to create a landscape poem inspired by him. Now, he showed you a way to do it using things like crayons and colored pencils. I also want to take a moment to show you how to do a digital version of it. And we're going to be using the app Assembly, which if you did our last project where we learned about Maya Hayuk and her murals, then you might have that downloaded. It is this app that looks like a bird's eye right here. Otherwise, if you don't have that app, we can go over into self-service. Click on self-service. You're going to go up to the tippy top where the three dots are. And there's a section that says art right here. I'm going to click on art. And you will probably have Assembly in here if you haven't installed it already. Now, mine doesn't have it for some reason, but I already have it on my iPad, so that's okay. So what you're going to do is you are going to need a picture of a landscape. So maybe this is a picture of a place that you've been before. Maybe mom and dad have a picture of that on their phone, and they could airdrop it to your iPad for you to work on. Otherwise, you could take your iPad outside, make sure to be safe with it, hold on to it, make sure it's not raining. And you could take a picture of a landscape outside as well. It could be something in your backyard. Maybe it's something on a walk that you do with your parents. I'm going to go into Assembly. Remember, it's this app right here. And I am going to go over here. I'm going to click Device. It's this one way off to the right. Device. And I'm going to hit the check mark. This is going to give me a blank screen. Now I want to load a picture of a landscape that I have. So I'm going to go up to the pancakes up here, and I need to click artboard. It's got this thing that looks kind of like a hashtag next to it. And I can go to load photo down at the bottom. And now it brings up my camera roll. You might have to give it access. So if it asks you if it can use your photos or your camera, make sure to hit OK. And then you need to pick the picture that you want to work on. Okay, so you can see I have a few different landscape pictures. These are places that I've been to in the past that I decided I would work on for my artwork. I'm going to pick this one right here. So I'm just going to touch it. This is on top of a mountain actually, and I can touch the little check mark down at the bottom. All right. So this is going to bring up your artwork that you're going to work on top of, or your photograph. Remember that you could use one that mom and dad have taken a picture of on their phone. Otherwise, you can take a picture of something in your backyard, something in your neighborhood. And we want to work on adding text to our artwork. So what I'm going to do is down here in the bottom, it says text. It's this gray rectangle at the very bottom. I'm going to click on that. And then it says new text object. When I click on that, it's going to bring up a screen like this, and it's going to allow you to type something in. So as Mr. Massey talked about, he was kind of talking about poetry and maybe talking about your experience in a location, or things that you saw, or things that you heard, or things that you felt. When you write poetry, typically you don't want it to be really long, though. You want to keep your phrases kind of short. So we'll just go back so we can see my picture. So as I said, mine was a picture of a mountain that I climbed up. It was a really tall mountain. It was actually the tallest mountain in Maine. And it also took me a really long time to actually hike up to the top of it. I think it was like a 7-hour hike or something like that. And then sadly, when I got up to the top expecting to have this really amazing view, it was too foggy and I actually couldn't even see the bottom of the mountain then. It was just all fogged out. So I'm going to kind of write about that. So I'm going to go back to new text object. And I said I had to hike up a long ways. So I think my phrase, maybe it'll be up, up, up. Now think about how you want your words to look, kind of like what Mr. Massey said. Maybe I want it all capitalized like I have now. Maybe I want them all lowercase, like this. I'm going to do mine uppercase. Think about how using different kinds of lettering might impact the effect that you have. So I've wrote up, up, up. I'm going to hit done up in the corner. And this is going to give me my word. Now I can drag and drop this wherever I want. I could touch the little white circle in the corner, and I can tilt it. I prefer to keep mine kind of horizontal. That also allows me to make it bigger. If I want to change the color of it, there is a little spot right down here. If I could click on that, it gives me these different color palettes. You're welcome to use one of those. Otherwise, you can click on colors on this circle up here and kind of drag it around, and it will change the color. Okay, so you can kind of play with that if you want. I think I'm going to go to these kind of pinkish ones, actually. So maybe I'll do up, up, up. And I want that. I can hit this little arrow right here. That's going to make that smaller. And then one other thing, or two other things you can do to alter your text is I could click this plus and minus right down here. This is called kerning. And what it does is it adds or takes away spaces between your letters and words. So think about that. Maybe you want to stretch something out. Maybe you want to make it a bit more compact. So maybe I'm going to put that up here. And then I can also click font. And that way you can obviously change the way something looks. So maybe I want an American typewriter. If I click on this, since it has an arrow pointing down next to it, it's going to give me some different options. So I could do normal American typewriter. I could do bold. I could do condensed. I could do a light version. There might be italics in some areas. Okay, I think I'm going to go with something like this, though. Up, up, up. Okay, next I'm going to add another text object because that's not really a poem yet. I would suggest maybe 3 lines of writing is what you want. So I did up, up, up because I kept going up. Maybe I'll do walk, walk, walk. Now you don't have to repeat words 3 times like I'm doing. I'm just doing that because when you repeat it, or when you repeat it, it kind of makes it seem like it's something that happened over and over and over, which is kind of what hiking is like. You know, I went up for a really long time. I had to walk for a really long time. Maybe I want my font to be different than what I had before. Okay, so maybe I want up, 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 walk, walk, walk. Or I could drag that around or change the size of it. And then I'm going to do one more text object. So I said I want probably about 3 lines. I think mine might be foggy view. And once again, I could change that color. I think that's a little too bright. Something a bit more muted. Maybe I'll do something like this. Oh, I guess that's not very muted, but I can drag foggy view and put that where I want it to be. All right, so maybe that is my poem that I've come up with. Okay, play around with the text, play around with the size of it, the kerning, whether you want it bold, change your, the fonts or the colors. When you get an artwork that you really like, you can go up to the pancake stacks up here in the corner, and you can click Save Image. It's that orange button. And what that's going to do is it's going to save it to your camera roll or your photos, and then it is saved to your iPad. Okay, and then I can find it right here. Okay, a few other examples that I made. Here's one that says heavy pack, sweaty back, beautiful blue below. So this is a backpacking trip that I did last summer, and I had a really heavy backpack, and it was hot and sweaty. So kind of thinking about my experiences in those areas. Here's another backpacking trip I did. It says babbling brook, which is kind of like water, green trees, and then sit and relax. And this is where I sat down and had lunch. And then a few that Mr. Massey did. He did quiet, deep breaths away. Full lungs, wrong shoes. He said this was a trip he took and they didn't plan for it to snow. Something else you can do is maybe you want to do a drawn landscape like we saw Mr. Massey do, and then you could actually photograph that, and then you can use Assembly to put digital words on top of it. So we saw him use crayons to put digital words on it, or we saw him use crayons to put words on it. He could also upload this into Assembly and then add words to it doing that. Okay, so a few different examples for you. Remember that when you're done with your artwork, you can upload it to Assembly. You can share it with me on our Art Room Facebook page, or you're welcome to email it to me too. I can't wait to see what you guys are working on. If you have problems with the app, remember to just do a version with using crayons or colored pencils or markers then. Okay, it's not like a necessity to use your iPads. All right, talk to you guys later. Bye.